All right, lads and lasses, and good day, mates. Welcome to another episode of the Toon Under podcast. I'm Lee. I'm joined by Mark. Mark, it's been a pretty quiet week in the world of Newcastle United, hasn't it? Absolutely bugger all's happened all week.
It's the usual boring Newcastle United news. The last couple of days have been pretty uneventful, shall we say?
Yeah, we've had to put this one off because now it's been happening. No, it's been a very busy week, of course, in Newcastle's world. How are you, mate?
Yeah, I'm doing well. It's Friday night here, so yeah, a lot to go through, a lot to digest tonight, I guess. But yeah, it's been an interesting week. Like loads of people getting sick after the Echo show. So yeah, flu season in Brisbane. It is. So yeah, trying to keep clear of all of that shit.
Absolutely. All right. Well, let's just dive into the first quiet bit of news. We've actually signed a striker, an actual real life striker, Mark. Nick, Woltemade.
Yeah.
I should have known better than to run with this one. I'm just going to call him Wolfie from now on. Wolfie. We've just signed Wolfie from Stuttgart for a reported, or it depends who you listen to, but it's around about 64 million quid. This guy lit up the scene for the under-21s. I remember watching him playing in that and thinking, Jesus, this guy's all right. I think he scored 6 in that competition. Came out the blue, didn't it? Like we were just sitting there at 2 o'clock this morning, up till about 3 o'clock, watching the Champions League draw. And what was that yesterday? I forget now. But anyway, the news kind of landed soon afterwards, and it was like, oh Jesus Christ, I just want to go to sleep here. Came out the blue, one of those classic Newcastle United moves where we've just snuck off to the continent, while everyone's looking over here, where we buggered off over there, done a deal behind the scenes. Nobody knew about it. None of the ITKs had any idea about it. And we only found out when Kirkhope, I think it was, mentioned it just out of the blue. We've been waiting for a while. We've been waiting all summer to find a striker for obvious reasons. And this guy looks pretty sweet, doesn't he? What do you reckon of this transfer?
Well, it was one of those things where I think you were in the group chat going, it's like, oh, we're not going to sign anyone. It's going to be crap. And I think last night we're all bitching and moaning about the lack of transfer activity, and we can't go into the rest of the season with only like one striker who's really unproven, and another one who's mopey and doesn't want to play for us. And then, yeah, literally, I think you just posted it. And then I think Craig or someone posted like, oh, yes, we've been linked with Voldemort. And then the next thing is like, we've signed him. We've agreed a deal. He's on his way for a medical. It's like, holy shit. It's like, yeah, typical Newcastle United. Everything's like below the radar. The fee is something that irks me more than it should. I will be honest. It's like the reporting is getting on my tits in terms of every time we sign a player, it's always reported in euros and with all of the add-ons added to it and all of this sort of stuff to make it look as if we're like spending a fortune. Yet anytime Liverpool sign a player, it's always like without the add-ons, in pounds, as little as they can do to try and like make it look like they're not actually just trying to buy the league yet again. So yeah.
Is this another one of Mark's special conspiracies? You do like a conspiracy, don't you?
It is. You have a look. Everything that we get dealt with is always reported in euros with everything added on. There's people saying it's like 90 million euros, and it's like, yeah, but you get it's like 65 million quid. And I was like, I'm sorry, but Sesko went for more than that, and he like scored one more goal than him in the Bundesliga last year. So Woltemade scored one less than Sesko, but played loads less minutes. So yeah, there's definitely a media narrative, shall we say. I'm not going to go as far as conspiracy, but there's definitely a narrative.
Oh, I can feel your tin hat collection expanding as we talk behind you, adding it to the shelves.
I'm only on my second beer for the night, so I haven't hit full blown conspiracy mode yet, but it's all good.
Yeah, everyone get comfortable. There's going to be a long night.
There's still time.
Yeah, no, so he, I certainly hope he starts his career in the Premier League a little bit better than Sesko, because he's had a bit of a rough one, hasn't he, to start of his Man United career, mind you. These days, who doesn't? Do we see him as a replacement for Larson? I say replacement in the chase for the person that we are trying to sign. We've obviously been after Larson from Wolves, and we've been after Wissa from Brentford. Which one of these two? I'm assuming it's going to be Larson. I think that's basically, let's be honest here, they're both tall people, quite lanky, quite handy with the feet, good with shooters. But you would say that he would be the Larson type player that we've been chasing?
I think we've moved on from Larson. I'll be honest with you. We had players linked to us all summer. I've seen things with Woltemade linked to us before, and I just assumed complete non-starter. Bayern Munich are interested. He's German. He's going to go to Bayern. It's a done deal. That's all kind of been very much like knocked on the head, and then all of a sudden, like, you know, we're bidding 60 million for Larson, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, no, we've shifted tack. We've gone off to this German international player, and yeah, it's all been a bit of a whirlwind, to be honest. Look, I think I personally think he's an Isak replacement, but what I will say is the club's stance is that this is a Wilson replacement. And if that's true or not, I don't care, but it's absolutely perfect man management, because they're immediately taking all the pressure off him to come in and start scoring goals immediately to replace an existing top tier talent. So they're giving him that little bit of leeway when he comes into the squad to like find his feet. It's a new league. It's a new team. He's going to have time to settle. We know Eddie Howe is going to work well with him. But yeah, it's very nice that it's kind of like, it's reassuring that we're not kind of piling the pressure on, going like, oh yes, this is an Isak replacement. I definitely think there is other targets, and I'm hoping what will happen from Woltemade signing for us is it takes that pressure off. Up till now, we've been desperate. We've been seen to be desperate, and we were. And I don't think that's helped us in any stretch at all, because clubs know we were dying for a new striker. So immediately that's like 10 million on the price. And then every time we went to a player, it's like, oh, well, we're hearing that we've agreed terms with the player and we've put this bid in, and we're getting like, oh, no, that's been knocked back. And suddenly there's another 5 million on, there's another 10 million on. And that's been the story all summer. If it's not for a big six club stealing who we were after in the first place.
So you're thinking, because we've almost, let's assume this goes through and we'll sign this guy. So you're thinking that
it's Newcastle, so I'm not taking anything for granted.
Yeah, let's just assume, but like, you know, fair warning, it'll probably go tits up. So you're thinking that because we've got one guy in, the pressure to sign a striker has eased to the point where other clubs maybe won't be so successful trying to extract every single last penny out of us for another target that we might go into. So, for example, I don't know, if we went in for Wissa and they said, oh, we want 70 million. Well, they know that we've already got a striker. They've already signed Woltemade. So in your mind, you're thinking that means Brentford might not be able to hold us over the coals, as it were, for that kind of money. Maybe they'd be a little bit more accepting of the fact that if we say, look, we've already got a guy, so we're going to give you, we'll go up to, I don't know, 50 million. I can't even remember what the hell we've bid, but we won't go any higher than that, and we've already got another guy, so the pressure's kind of off us. Is that basically what you're getting at?
Yeah, I think it's like, if we sign another striker, it's more of a luxury player now. It's not, because we know that there's still issues hanging over our head with Isak, and we desperately still need another striker. But we're not in the position where, if Isak refuses to play and the window closes and we've not signed anyone, then we're going into a season with Gordon and Asula as our only striker options. We've moved beyond that now. And I think that gives us more leverage to go, right, well, look, it's going to be a struggle, but we can walk away and we've still got options.
We have to sign another striker, though. Like, if the intention here is to let Isak go, and I've been arguing my corner all day in the chat about this, and about how I cannot stomach the very thought of him getting his way. More particularly his agent, but also Isak. And Liverpool to a lesser extent. I think this has been very much an agent-driven thing. Yeah, getting off topic, but slightly in the same sort of manner of how we went after Larson, the club Wolves were like, no, but his agent Mendes was like, put a bid in, we'll make it work. And we did that twice, got told to piss off twice, and then we gave up. You know, that sounds a lot like how it's gone with Liverpool. And they did it once. We told them to fuck right off with 110 million, and they've never came back.
Yeah, Larson hasn't thrown his toys out the pram.
No, I know that's obviously
fucked over the beginning of their season. He scored 2 goals for them in the League Cup during the week.
Yeah,
so
yeah. Look,
totally different scenarios for me.
I'm not talking about how the player himself has behaved. I'm talking about the way that the
agents
transfer has been talked up, the way the whole thing is being put as in a thing that can happen, and all you got to do is this X, Y, Z. And I don't want to let Isak go, because it doesn't matter how much people talk about legacy. Doesn't matter how much people talk about the fans' opinion of him in the future. He's not going to give a flying fuck about any of that. He doesn't give a shit. If he did, he wouldn't be leaving. He'd be staying. What he cares about is going to, in his mind, a better club, and he's going to get much better wages. And to be fair, probably better chance of winning more significant trophies and honours at Liverpool. But he's done it via his agent, I believe, and he's done it the wrong way. And I feel like if you let him go under any circumstance, he will be the winner in all this. His agent will definitely be a winner in all this. He's going to get a massive cut out of it. We get a fee. We have to probably pay him his loyalty. I
know that's the biggest bugbear with you, isn't it?
Well, he's not being loyal, is he? He's breaking his contract. He's literally in breach of his contractual terms. He shouldn't be eligible for any sort of loyalty payment. But he gets to go. He gets to get that. We end up with probably about 70 million profit. And yes, that is handy, but it's not like earth-shattering for PSR reasons. It'll be good. It's good to have it. I appreciate we can bring a few people in, but it isn't going to set us up for like the next 10 years. And what we end up doing is losing.
Set us up for the next 10 years because of the 3-year PSR cycle anyway, would it?
I'm talking in general terms, but we won't. What we will be doing is losing a world-class losing a world-class striker to a rival, a top 6 rival. Whether or not we get that close to him or not, I don't know. But regardless of that, he gets to win. We sort of dress it up as if we've done well. Oh, well, we got lots of money, and oh, well, we kept him until we had replacements. We weren't going to do any of that. That wasn't our plan. That was him forcing that upon us. We've had to basically scramble around to suit his desire and his wishes. And he's done it by just telling us all to piss off. I'm never going to play for you again. I don't give a shit what you say. Even if I'm still here after the transfer window, I am never playing for you again. It's bullshit. Of course he's going to play for us again. He's got a World Cup coming up. He's going to want to be fit for that. He contractually has to. The more he doesn't play, the more we can take him to court. We can suspend him without pay if it's in his contract. We can do things that would not be very nice for him. We get to keep a player who doesn't want to be here. I get that. But at the same time, the message, and this is what I really want to reinforce here, the message from the club is in no uncertain terms to anybody else who might be thinking about taking our pants down and reaming us. It's basically, you leave when we say you leave, not when you decide that there's a nice shiny thing over the corner that you fancy, instead of staying here and seeing out the 3 years that you signed up for 3 years previous. You signed up for it. You didn't put an exit clause in it. None of this has anything to do with what we've done. It's all about you changing your mind and deciding what you want to go somewhere else. No, you go when we say you go, and we say you go when we are good and ready. And that's not necessarily right now, because right now you're making us have to run around like a bunch of idiots, try to go for all these striker options that end up going elsewhere. They make us look like absolute fools. The narrative from every angle is Newcastle's had a shit window, when in reality, especially if we get Wisser in and this Woltemade, we've had a pretty bloody successful window, really. Spent nearly 200 million, 160 something that'll be with the net sales. So I don't want to ever see him leave. Not this window. I can let him go next window. Not next window, sorry, in next summer. That's on our terms again. We've had plenty of time to get used to it. And I think he can be reintegrated, because once his bargaining chip is removed, i.e. when the window shuts, he's got nothing. He's got absolutely nothing.
I'm less convinced. I 100% agree with you in terms of I don't want him to get his way. I don't want Liverpool to get a player that they've clearly talked to his agent, whether or not it's Liverpool tapping him up, whether it's his agent trying to push an agenda. There's clearly been discussions. There's clearly one club that's in for him, and that's been the thing. It's like, well, look, it's not like we're opening the market and the players looking for the best club you can go to, because otherwise, well, okay, yeah, you can go to Liverpool, but like PSG is going to pay you, Real Madrid's probably going to pay you. They probably need a striker, you know. Yeah, well, if Mbappe leaves, but you know, at what point do you go? And this is where it gets. This is where we've had disagreements, and I'm gonna preface that with this. When you have a player that is clearly unhappy, I personally think that Isak's burned way too many bridges to be integrated back into the squad. Yeah. And I think he's effectively told all of his teammates that he doesn't think they're good enough for him. I do worry if he goes back in there, whether or not he decides he wants to play again because he kind of has to, or whether or not he still throws his toys out the pram and goes, well, no, I've said this and I'm too embarrassed now to actually apologize because I've made a complete ass of myself. I don't know, but the point is, do you want that hanging around for another 6 months, 12 months, whatever? Well, to me, it's like, it's more a case of like, well, if we've stood our ground, I don't think he leaves unless we get a second striker in. Well, yeah. Woltemade is great, and don't get me wrong, I think he will be absolutely fantastic for us. And we've definitely got off track again with our Isak rants, but the idea is that Woltemade is meant to be a Wilson replacement. He's not meant to be producing those goals. If we get Wissa in as well, then that's a different story for me. If we get no other striker in, then Isak goes nowhere, and I can definitely see that happening. If we get a second striker in and we get what we want financially off Liverpool, then what that signals is, okay, look, this player has thrown his toys out the pram, but we've not given in and gone cheap. We've not given in and sold him off before we were ready to sell him. And we didn't want to lose him, but, you know, needs must as the devil vomits into your tea kettle, as Blackadder said.
But the problem is, this is all exactly the plan from their side of things. He knows exactly this is how it's going to go. He knows exactly that people will be like, well, it's better just get rid of them. They know exactly what they're doing. They're playing us for a fiddle. And if you let them go, what message is that sending to anybody else who's already at the club and who might even want to join?
No, I 100% get that. But
in 2 years' time, if bloody Voldemort goes, oh, you know what, fuck this. I know I signed a 6-year thing, but I'm just going to do what Isak did. I'm just going to fucking down tools. These cunts will just roll over because they did last time. Why should I expect them to do any different?
No. That's I 100% get that.
We cannot be that way. We cannot be that club. We're trying to be elite. That is not elite behavior in my mind.
Yeah, I think the problem is that we're not quite there yet. We don't quite have all of the. We don't quite have all of the backing, all of the nous and all of the, you know, the gravitas, I think, to be able to do that right now. Like, to us, losing out on 30, 40, 50 million or whatever because we've decided to stand our ground. Like, yeah, look, the Saudis are not going to blink. It's like, it's a drop in the ocean. It's like kind of pocket change for them. But with a PSR world, you know, if we get the 70 million pure PSR profit, spread over that 5 years of whatever we can amortize new signings over, that gives us an awful lot of room to move with like kind of, you know, getting another defender in, getting another midfielder in, doing something in January, gives us wholesale changes to happen in next summer. That to me is what's key, is like, it kind of almost feels like we're cutting our nose off to spite our face if we make him sit it out. And I want to, with all of my heart, I want to fuck Isak over as much as I can. I want him to suffer. I want him to go, look, well, you've bitten off more than you can chew. Your agent's an idiot. He's a gangster. He wants to kind of like bully people because he's used to dealing with like smaller clubs. But let's not pretend that those tactics will work with PIF, who are dealing with like $1 trillion investment fund. But at the same time, like if we want to play by the book, then if we get the strikers in we need and we can sell him for a massive PSR profit, then it's probably not a bad thing to do. And I see both sides, and this is the problem, is like part of me says, let's screw him over, let's make him wait, let's fine him, let's, like, if he doesn't play, then we'll fine him, we'll take him to court, we'll punish him and screw his career over. Like, I would personally love us to just go, right, well, we're not selling you and we're going to make you sit in the reserves if you don't want to play and you don't perform. And when you're 29 years old and you've not played any professional football, your contract's ended. Yes, you can leave on a free transfer and that's all good, because like, who's going to pay you what you wanted before? That would be ideal for me. But in a financial situation and the PSR reality that we live in and trying to build the squad and trying to move forward, I just don't feel that it's an issue. And yes, the agent and the player wins to some extent, but we've at least made sure that we're comfortable and we're getting what we need out of the deal before we sign off on it.
Yeah, no, I'm the same as you. I see both sides. I cannot abide the idea of him winning, and he won't give a fuck about any of that other shit.
No, and it's going to piss everybody off, and it's going to be a hard pill to swallow just to kind of like go, yeah, okay, look, we've had to swallow our pride almost to be the bigger man, and it's like, well, no, I don't want to be. I want to screw him over.
But this is the thing. I don't want to screw him over necessarily. I don't want to be vindictive about it. In my mind, this is just a giant bluff. This is just a giant bluff that's gone too far, maybe. He hasn't handed in a transfer request, man.
Yeah.
It's about money as well.
All about money.
Like, if you're so fucking desperate to get out of this club, where's the transfer request? Are you waiting until, like, you know, the 10th, 11th hour before the window shuts? Is that your last trump card that you've got there to put in that transfer request? Is that what the little game is that they're playing here? They're holding that back until they really need it to sort of try and force this move through. Because to be honest, that makes things slightly better in the world of PSR, because then we'd have to pay him his bloody 12 million loyalty bonus, which would be an absolute slap in the face. Anyway, look, stuff him for the time being. Let's get back to Woltemade.
Let's get back to the signing that we have made, who wants to play for us.
I haven't made him yet. Talking about profiles of players, and he does. We looked at that kind of radar, didn't we, of skill sets that you often see, and I don't know if we have it on the slide, but there it is.
So we've basically got a scouting report, which is a lot of green.
Really good.
And he looks mint. He looks very, very good.
Yeah, very good. Obviously, we have to bear in mind this is a different league.
There's a lot of green. There's a lot of 80s, 90s, 90 percentiles there. So, you know, he's got the attributes. But the biggest thing for me is if you start looking at a direct Alexander Isak comparison, there is not a lot between the two of them. So
no, that is really good. That is really good. As I said, though, I guess that's stats from different leagues. So, and that's the thing about this guy. Another reason why we need another striker. This guy is 23, brand new to the Premier League. We don't know how he's going to go. Look at Sesko. He's been absolute shite since he came in. We can't be going into games, especially not against, like, you know, Leeds, who will just kick the 11 shit out of him, with him up front by himself, and really not much in reserve to kind of cover, especially not when fucking Gordon's banned for the next 3 games. You've got Joe Linton, who maybe you could have stuck up there, who's busted his groin, or he's pulled a muscle in his leg, or whatever it might be. We don't know how long he's going to be out, but he's not going to play for Brazil, so it's probably going to be after that window, the international window. You bring in Woltemade, then you still have to have someone else. You still have to have a Wissa. Like, for me, Wissa would be brilliant. I've said this before. I think Wissa is absolutely fantastic. He's brilliant in the box. He's got a hell of a touch. He can score from anywhere. Him feeding off Woltemade would be actually brilliant. And of course, then when it comes to December and the AFCON's kicking in, and Wissa pisses off for up to 6 games, it could be 6 weeks, or I think it was 6 games, 6 weeks, something like that. You've still got Woltemade there to lead the line. And that's not ideal either, because that's just the situation I've just explained. But you know you have Wissa coming back at some point. So, and you've got to that point with him as well. So I'm like you, I don't see how we can possibly even entertain the idea of Isak leaving until Wissa is through the door as well, or someone else. But then you hear people like Keith Downey on Sky saying that when Woltemade comes in, now that is essentially opening the door for Isak to leave. And I'm like, how can it be? We cannot go into fucking 60
I don't
games
think it is. I
in
think
the
it's
season
journalistic bullshit trying
with
to sell it like that, because they know it's going to get clicks. They know it's going to get all the Liverpool fans frothing at the mouth. They know that that's what they want to hear. The reality is, unless we get a second striker in, I don't think he's going anywhere. And I think it is that situation where it has to be on our terms. Otherwise, then yes, we're a soft touch, and it's like if we don't get what we need from it, then it's a non-starter. And I think the gaffer, the chairman, is used to dealing with bigger cases than this, so to speak, when he's doing all of his dealings with PIF investment opportunities. I don't think he will blink twice at just saying, right, nah, you're not going anywhere right now. Having said that, like, what I will say though is this graph that we have on the page at the moment, like there's like a tiny little like difference between the two, like in terms of Alexander Isak and Nick Woltemade. I tried to find the other one that I saw today as well, which is really interesting. Hugo Ekitike was put on the same graph and was very, very similar as well. So it's obviously like we have a type, we have a focus of what type of player we want for the club. Sesko was absolutely nowhere near. He was so like lacking in so many departments comparative to what the other three are, that it's a little bit weird that we were in for him, given how bad he was in some of those departments. But yeah, I think given some time, I think Big Nick's gonna prove everybody that, you know, it is money well spent. Especially given the crazy market at the moment and how batshit the prices are, like 65 million or whatever it is that he's gonna come for. Like, that's not a bad price considering that's what we were getting for like a one-season wonder in Larson.
And that's the funny. Well, he's kind of a one-season wonder as well, because he signed for free for Stuttgart last year. He did nothing in the first half of the season, and then suddenly exploded in the second half. So he's not even a one-season wonder. He's basically half a season wonder. But yes, hopefully he does better. But hopefully he does better than Sesko when he gets into the team. And on the plus side as well, he's not French, so that's always a positive. And also, they've got Malik Chow, so he's already got a fellow countryman at the club to spend some time with, which is usually quite a nice thing to have as well. I mean, I guess we're still waiting for another Italian, but for Tonali. But let's move on from this then. Anyway, so hopefully that gets through his medical. Ideally, you'd think if we can get that done by noon UK time, he'd be on the bench for Leeds, would you say? Maybe come on second half?
I certainly wouldn't be throwing him in the deep end, but if he can at least get on the bench, even if he does not come on, if he comes on for like 5 minutes at the end, if he's there just to experience the game and the Premier League and the crowds and just kind of like get used to his teammates and how they're playing and what to expect, then if we could get him on the bench, that would be awesome. If not, look, you know, you deal with it. He goes away to the international break. No one our luck he comes back with an injury, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Hadn't thought of that. Fucking hell. All right, we'll just end us off. He had 17 goals last season. I think 12 were in the league and the rest were in the cups, I think.
Yeah.
So, fingers crossed that goes through. And I heard someone describe him as Peter Kraut. Peter Kraut, because he's tall. He's German, Peter Kraut. Love that one. All right, what's next on the list? What we're talking about?
Champions League.
The Champions League lushness. Look at that draw, man. Yeah, 2:00 in the morning this wasn't it?
Yeah, I did not get up for it. I will take the hit for the team and say I'm a part-time supporter. I was fast asleep. I
would have been, and in fact I was, until we both came barging in the room and scared the living shit out of us. And I looked at the clock and it was 2 a.m. and I was like, oh fuck, I'm never gonna get back to sleep now. So I started watching the thing. It took bloody ages to get all the way at the end as well. You know, it's like, come on, man, I've got to get back to sleep here. And then the news of this signing dropped as well. So it was a long morning break that was. But yeah, so what do you make of this draw? Then Barcelona at home, man. That's all right, isn't it?
That's a good tie. PSG away is
we owe them for this.
We owe them. I don't think we disgraced ourselves the last time. I think
we'll win them one.
We all know that we were robbed by a dodgy referee decision because of Mbappe. The rest of them, those are two huge ties, and I think the fans will be well and truly up for the Barca game. The memories of the 3-0 Tino Asprilla
Patrick,
memorable game. So yeah, it's one of those games where you think it's got some history there. It's a top team. There's going to be some amazing talent on display. And Champions League games at night during the midweek, it's always that special atmosphere anyway. So yeah, I think it's still very much new to us as well. So it's still going to be a huge game for us. The rest of the games, the one thing I will say is I'm really glad we haven't got any midweek away games to like the arse end of Europe. Like, if we had like a Kazakhstan or Azerbaijan or something like that, where we're literally traveling for like 12 and a half hours each way. I think we could do without that. So, most of the games are pretty close by. We've got Benfica, Leverkusen. Benfica at home is actually pretty good. Leverkusen away, I think that's going to be a pretty good game. PSV at home, I'm actually really looking forward to that one as well. Marseille away, trip over the pond to France. It is Athletic Bilbao, so not the Spanish version.
They've got the same bloody badge.
Oh, man. They do have a very similar badge. Yeah, clearly Sunderland had way too much influence on the continent and a while back with the red stripes. And then Union SG, which I believe is Belgium. Yeah, so
that'll be a mad one.
They're all pretty close by games. They're all, we've got some winnable games in that, and I think was it Aston Villa qualified straight out for the knockout stage proper on 16 points. They finished in 8th. I would be more than happy if we can get 12 to 14 points out of that particular draw, and I don't think that's unreasonable to ask for.
I think 12, 3, 6, 9. I think 13 to 16. I reckon we'll probably not do anything against Barca and PSG. I really want us to beat Benfica. I was there at the I think it was the Europa League in 2012, 2013. I think I saw when we drew 1-1 and went out of the cup. And I was like, God damn it, because we already lost it away. And I was at the home game thinking, they're shite. How well we'll beat them. And then we got nowhere near them, really, if I remember rightly. And when
was that when Didier Drogba playing for them? Was that when we went out?
Might have been
a different team. I'm thinking.
I don't know. It doesn't really ring the bells, but it might have been. I can't remember. It was donkeys ago. I just remember thinking, are we ever going to beat these guys, Benfica? I think we've only played them twice, maybe some friendlies elsewhere. Leverkusen, PSV, Marseille, Athletic, and Union. Union, I reckon we'll beat. Athletic, I think we'll beat. Marseille, I think we'll beat. Marseille aren't quite the same team they used to be. PSV, Dutch, shite, we'll probably beat them. Bayern Leverkusen could be tricky. Benfica, I think, have had our number in the past, as I've just said, so I would like to beat them. And then I think PSG are a different animal to when we last played them. And Barcelona's Barcelona. But having said that, when we played PSG at home under lights 2 years ago, we fucking murdered them because the whole crowd was right up for it. It was a cauldron. It was absolutely sensational. If we do that against Barca, never know.
Look, I fancy us at home against anybody on our day. I think we're capable of beating absolutely anybody, and I think we've shown that with the Premier League the teams that we've beaten at St James's Park over the last few years. It is interesting that we've only got 3 home games. So unless that's a typo, then I feel we've been a little bit stiff on that one. That can't be right. So I'm assuming that Athletic Bilbao is probably a home game as well, given that seems to be the order that they've gone in. So possibly a typo by the Sun or whoever I nicked this graphic off.
No, it's a typo. We've got Leverkusen at home. We've got PSV. Oh, it's Bilbao. Yeah, it's Athletic at home. Yeah.
So that makes more sense. So look, if we win 3 of the 4 home games, then we're a good way there. We're a good chunk there. I think trip to Belgium, trip to France. in terms of Marseille at least, I think those are eminently winnable games. So yeah, 12 to 14, maybe 16 at a push. If we can qualify outright for the knockout stage, then that will be a massive statement from us. But as long as we don't finish outside and just go out of the Champions League with a whimper, which I don't think it will in the current format. I think we were hard done by last time, given the group of death that we got drawn in.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
So yeah, that was ridiculous. Yeah,
and we should have got through it as well, which is the other thing. Like absolutely screwed. Oh, yeah, we've got to go to PSG and stick one up them and say, call that a handball, you shitbags. I'm actually just realizing I'm looking on .com here, and it looks like the first round of games is going to be the week of the 15th of September. That's only 2 weeks away. I didn't realize it was so close.
Yeah,
so close to getting started. Yeah. Is that basically going to be the week after the international break then?
Pretty much.
Fucking hell, Jesus! So we're going to have players going away on international duty probably. I'm not sure where they're being played. I know there's probably one away, I'd imagine. It might be both at Wembley for all I know. And then they're going to be diving straight into the league, and then straight into Champions League, and then the league.
And I want to say that I'm going to double check this, but I am. I can't spell. So I'm just going to pull this up on my computer. But I actually suspect that we're actually PSG away in the first game as well.
Yeah, really? That's Christ! I was hoping that we can kind of have a Barcelona at home to.
They haven't updated .com yet. So I do suspect that we had a PSG away the first game for the Champions League as well. But I'll wait and see what actually happens with that.
Fair enough. All right, 2 weeks. Bloody hell! I cannot believe how quickly that's started. It's really exciting, isn't it? I mean, and the very fact that we're in this competition is why we are signing some top quality players now, because we've got that little carrot we can dangle,
and the other bonus is the League Cup was drawn as well, and we managed to get a home tie against Bradford, so start our nice little defense of that particular trophy off with a bang. Hopefully a nice little home win for us against Bradford. It did irk me a little bit that Sky Sports was doing their promos for the Carabao Cup, and it was Liverpool and Man United as the trophy winners, and then they just completely skipped over the fact that we're the current holders, because we've got to like suck Liverpool and Man U off, and who gives a shit about little old Newcastle? So
there's another
slightly annoying, but you know what? Don't care. Underestimate us again. We're going to be there or thereabouts, hopefully again.
Yeah, there's I saw a nice video where they were all in the kind of canteen or something down at Bradford, and when it got read out who they were playing, there's a Geordie at the back who's playing for them, who's a Newcastle supporter. He's like,
no, that was the Belgian side.
That was the
Belgian side for the Champions League. Yeah,
that was right. But there is a player at Bradford who is his whole family are Newcastle fans. So I read that his wife was putting something up saying he's like, I think he might be a little bit injured. If there is such a thing, a little bit injured. So they're not sure whether he'll play, but that's what I'm getting confused. But there's mags everywhere, man.
Tony Cruz is getting a mag mission, apparently.
What the fuck was that about? Yeah. I saw I read the transcript of that, and he was lauding over the way that we played, and it wasn't so much the
way we played, like the crowd,
the attitude, the attitude of the team to keep on going with 10 men, where normally you'd sit back and say, "Oh, this is kind of his words. I'm paraphrasing. Oh, please don't score 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 against us." He said, "No, they just kept on going to try and win the game," and he absolutely loved it. He was totally sold on it, and signed up for a membership, which is mad.
And then somebody referenced him in the Woltemade signing, and he was just like, "Oh, I wonder if it's a coincidence."
Someone says, "I wonder if it's a coincidence." Who tagged him, and he went, "Surely it can't be." Yeah, I wouldn't be at all surprised if he said something behind the scenes. It's probably not very likely. I mean, Chow is probably more likely, but he's only been here 5 minutes as well, so I'm not sure what he's going to tell him. But no, so Bradford, that is going to be, so them the third round ties are played on the 15th of September and the 22nd of September, so across 2 weeks. We'll be on the 22nd, of course, because as we've just said, we will be playing somebody in the Champions League a week before. So this is already getting congested, isn't it? It's already starting to and then they stick a freaking international right before it all. It's like, Can we not do that, please? Can we? Well, although I haven't said that, we'll probably do with the rest.
Look, to be fair, this is why we've had the summer we've had, and disregarding the whole Isak shit show, the Woltemade signing, on top of what we've done so far, we've gone under the radar. We've had the piss taken out of us because we've missed out on signings because big six clubs have overpaid and offered more salary or whatever. We've had, we've had a lot of people complaining that, we're not a big club, blah, 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 blah. But we've quietly gone about our business, and we've actually got a pretty decent window under our belt right now. We've improved the squad. We've reduced the average age of the squad down. To me, that is massive, and I think it will hold us in good stead. The fact that the people that are coming to us want to be here, they want to play for us, they see the benefit of playing and developing under Eddie Howe.
I wonder if there's any release clauses in these guys after the whole thing.
Yeah, maybe, who knows? Like, look, in reality, I don't think we would stand in a player's way if they wanted to leave. I think Isak and his agent have just thrown the toys out the pram.
That's how they've done it. Yeah, I understand.
It's just how they've done it. I think no fan has ever said that they don't understand why Isak would want to go to Liverpool for more money, to have a better chance at winning, like, more trophies. Nobody cares about that. It's how he's gone about it, and that's always been the case. And I don't see us being subjected to a lot of that again. I think if you look at Isak's agent, I think that speaks volumes about what's happened, given he's been banned from how many other clubs.
Well, exactly. Yeah.
So
the first rodeo,
I don't think it's a us thing. I think it's a them thing.
No, absolutely. All right. Well, so anyway, Carabao, hopefully we'll be able to get through that one. Because we're starting to get a bit of squad depth. At least we were until 3 midfielders went down and Gordon got really banned. We're starting to look all right, actually. We might have to buy another midfielder. Maybe Kobe Menu, maybe get him on board.
I would definitely like to see what Eddie Howe could do with him. I think he's been vastly underutilized at Man United, and I don't think Amorum's really bringing anyone through. I think Garnacho is another one that I would probably have taken a punt on. I would probably have gone for Højlund as well, because I think he's been massively underutilized and underdeveloped.
He's been destroyed.
Well.
He's been destroyed. The 3 years he's been there, you can see, I saw something before where these levels have just went up, all the way down. I was actually getting to the point where I was thinking, all right, maybe Højlund. At least he's got league experience. But then we've went and signed this Wunderkid from Deutschland. So we've went in a different direction. But and also, I'm not sure whether Højlund does a lot of tracking back. But anyway, I'm not even sure this other guy does, Woltemade. Moving on. 11th. Oh yeah, it's this thing, isn't it? Now, we've tried to not talk about this. The game seems like it was a lifetime ago, but it was only actually Monday for us. Oh, it was a Tuesday morning. Sorry for us.
Well, I think this was the problem, wasn't it? We were all a little bit sleep deprived because it was a 5 a.m. kickoff for us.
It was,
and the gut punch that was the usual injury time winner for Liverpool against us. It seems like it happens every fucking time we play them.
It was the third half of injury time, wasn't it?
Yes.
I will say, though, and I know it's already been said a lot, but that was a really good performance by the team. And I know we took a lot of the Isak drama into this game, especially the fans. And I think that's probably helped the lads get up for it. But even then, and even so, 2-0, like 19 seconds into the second half, you're 2-0 down, you're 10 men. And we still dominated that team, that Liverpool champions of England team. I know it's early days in the league, so don't get me wrong. I've always said the best time to play the biggest teams in the league is always at the start before they're up to speed. So I'm not discounting that at all. But with that said, we dominated them in the first half. We dominated them for most of the second half, and that close, just 11 short minutes away from possibly even winning it, because it was up until that last run and break down the other end, it was all us in their half, pinning them back, trying to get the winner. I mean, even though we didn't win, you've got to look at that as a Newcastle fan and think, fucking hell, man, if we can reproduce that in every game, we're going to be
100%,
man.
Yeah, 100%.
Because that was absolutely fantastic.
the fact that there was this togetherness in the squad, and whether or not that's on the back of the whole Isak drama, and the players themselves are going, well, let's not let this destroy us, and we're a family, we all still want to play here, we still love the club, screw him, let's show them, sort of thing. We don't know what's going on. A few little comments from players suggest that they're not too happy about the situation, but the reality is, like, they gave their all. They did absolutely everything they could to get us back into that game, and they went for the win. And it's backfired almost, but we've lost a point trying to go for 3, and I would much prefer a team that does that than someone who's just going to sit back and cave because we're a couple of goals down. So fair play to the players that were out there, and I will say this as well, like for all of the shit. I'm removing myself here. All the shit that Gordon got on the day because of his red card, and yes, he's petulant and he needs to learn and he's immature and he's let us down and all this sort of stuff. The interesting thing was, this wasn't like an act of petulance,
no,
like the last red card that he got. Yeah. You can see, and the fact is, he came straight out with an apology. He owned it, and he didn't hide from it. He didn't try to make it out like he wasn't responsible for it. But you could see the game was starting to flatline a bit. We were losing kind of the momentum. We were losing the crowd because we weren't getting any of the game. And he's basically gone out and tried to make something happen. And he needs to know where the line is and don't cross that line, even though there's talk that Liverpool got away with a couple and they probably should have had a player sent off. Gordon's was, a bit harsh in that, well, was it really clear and obvious error to get called back from the original yellow card? And as soon as the ref gets called over by VAR, what's going to happen, because VAR is re-refereeing the game, is what we always say. We had penalties not awarded in the box for people holding, which apparently was meant to be a thing they were cracking down on this season. But it's Liverpool, so just let it go. So there was a lot of refereeing shit that went on, but Gordon's at least tried to make something happen. And I would much prefer a player that is willing to do that than just coast by and accept a 2-0 defeat.
I thought Gordon was brilliant first half. Honestly, he was full of running. He was closing down. He was trying to do everything. You sometimes get the feeling he's trying to do a little bit too much.
A little bit too much. Maybe he's got something to prove. Yeah, 100%.
He's in a position that's not his natural position, but he's desperate to try and help the team. The problem with the sending off, I mean, I think it's a straight red. I think it's a straight red every single day of the week. He was picking up speed. Like, he closed down one guy, then he runs to the wing, closes down another guy, then it goes into the middle to Van der, what do you call him? And I think the biggest problem is that he takes his eye off the ball. He takes his eye off what he's doing. It's not like Christ, what's his name again? Van Dijk. It's not like Van Dijk has actually moved. He's just received the ball and he's in the process of kicking it. So he's got one stand on leg as he kicks the ball. And you can see Gordon just slides in at full pelt. Like,
he did pull out. He did try to pull out, but he just
goes right in. He's not looking. He's looking away from the guy. Doesn't know where he is. And he studs him all the way down the side of his calf now and pulls his sock down at the same time. And you can't expect to get away from that. I mean, I think that was a red card. I think that was a clear and obvious error by the referee. I think he probably should have done better, but the referee should have done a lot of things better. Just coming back to the point about holding in the box, Dan Burn was clearly getting grappled in the box there.
Was wrestled.
Nothing given there. The challenge on Bruno, I think, was largely Bruno's fault. I think he largely instigated it and knew exactly what he was trying to do. He basically ignores the ball, looks at the man, moves towards the man, sticks his leg out, full extension, and then just kind of bends his knee and goes down in the heap. It doesn't look pretty from the Liverpool side of things, but Bruno did that on purpose for me. I don't think
it's what Bruno does very well, and that's why he can protect.
But that was that was a little bit too obvious. I mean, Gordon does it as well, does it all the time. And then I think the only other one in the whole game was Barnes when he gets pushed off the ball.
That's the one I was going to bring up. And that was a clear red card. He just got shoved.
I don't think it was. I think there's two problems with this. One is he's not in control of the ball, and he's moving away from goal anyway.
We said this before when the Man City. You remember a couple of seasons ago, the Man City goalkeeper came out and clattered one of our players, and then everyone was like, "Oh, he's not actually near the ball." So that means we can just wrestle anybody, no matter where they are, as long as the ball's not near them.
Oh, look, we're not going to have a conversation about consistency, because otherwise we'll not talk about anything else. I'm talking about just this incident because, yeah, exactly. There's things that should be given that aren't, and the other way around. But Barnes is moving away from the goal. He's not bearing down on the keeper by any stretch. He's moving away slightly. He's not in control of the ball. I think he's actually lost the ball, to be quite honest. His pace isn't as good as the covering defender. I forget who it was. Was it Kanate who was covering him?
I think it was Kanate.
Yeah. Kanate. Was he yellow? I forget now.
He was already on a yellow, yes.
Yeah, so maybe you could say it was a yellow, and then that would be 2 yellows and he'd be off. But I think the problem is Barnes knows he's not getting that ball. He knows he's being outpaced to get to that ball, and he just basically waits for a touch and falls over. I know it's 2 hands. I know it looks like that. And
there was a lot of contact.
It doesn't take much to make it go fine either. I've done it before, and I know how it is. But in the world of professional football, I don't think that's enough to get a red. Maybe a yellow. But I think that's one of those.
Yellow. But it's still a decision that went for Liverpool.
But there was no decision by the ref, so the VAR can't do anything about it, can it?
But again, though, we're still coming back to the referee had an absolutely shocking game.
But it's subjective. I don't think there was enough in that. Anyway, look. End of the day, some 16-year-old school kid comes out and basically has all of the time in the world to pick his spot. I tell you what, though, fucking brilliant finish that was.
Really good finish, yeah.
Like, he goes for the hardest part of that goal as well. Like, he's got all of the goal near him that he just sort of ignores, and then just bends it around Nick Pope, who was probably expecting him to go that way as well. So, fantastic finish, absolute kick in the balls. We come away with no points, but you know, if there was a trophy for effort, which there isn't, but if there was a trophy for effort, and just the sheer desire to really get something out of that game, then we would have won that one quite easily. Unfortunately, we didn't. But that's now Villa, who we basically bossed, and Liverpool, who I think, even if the stats don't measure it up, we using the eye test, we were bossing them most of the game as well, and we've only got 1 point out of it. I don't want us to go into the next game at Leeds feeling sorry for ourselves. I think we should be taking the confidence from such a dominant performance against those two teams. 100%. And those two teams, I mean, don't forget, everyone said we've got this hard start to the season. Yeah, and we've only got 1 point out of it. But the performances are there. Like, if we had got beaten in those two games and we looked shite, I would be really worried. But because we've played better than those two teams quite easily in parts and quite obviously in parts.
If we didn't have a stroppy prick up front that refused to play for us, we'd probably be sitting on 6 points right now. Simple.
Absolutely. The amount of chances we've created in those two games is ridiculous. Was nice to see Osula get a goal, I guess.
It was, yeah. No. Look. I thought he took it well. Actually, I thought he anticipated the run. First time finish. I actually thought he did really well for his goal, and I was pleased for him. I do not think he's the answer. I keep saying to anyone who listen, he looks like a Great Dane puppy who hasn't figured out how his legs work. He doesn't seem in control of his own game, and he doesn't seem to have that instinctiveness that you need in the centre forward. But look. He's got all the enthusiasm in the world. I hopefully that really gives him that boost that he needs. Obviously, getting a player brought in and then he's not going to be starting many games again isn't ideal for his development. I do think a loan move was probably the best for him, but I don't think that's going to happen either. But yeah, interestingly, the latest round of the rumor mill going around is that we're apparently after Fermin Lopez from Barcelona. Attacking midfielder, plays on the left or central, talking about us quadrupling his salary and paying a transfer fee in the range of 86 million.
Yeah, can't see that.
I can't see that happening. I don't think that's got any truth in the legs whatsoever. Unless we sell Isak and we're going to reinvest that money straight away. And isn't that what it's all about? Is selling that big money player to then be able to build out the squad and make us more competitive at the top end?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm getting distracted by a bit of breaking news here. Craig No Hope has said that Woltemade will not be available for Leeds, so we haven't managed to get that registration in time, which was noon UK time, and I can't tell what time it is at the minute in England. Joe Linton is out, but he could return after the international break. I think we all knew that anyway from what he's last said. Tonali has a chance apparently, which is a surprise because he was in a bloody arm brace after the game.
Unless it was just like, you know, he basically had an impact injury that was like a dead arm sort of thing. But
it looked like his shoulder.
Maybe he hit his funny bone. Maybe he just hit his funny bone.
Yeah, maybe if it's in his shoulder. Yeah. Apparently, Fabian Shaw is available. I thought he was.
Yeah, so he did not go off under the concussion rule. He actually got substituted like by default because he's had his head injury that he normally gets every game. But yeah, he didn't actually get substituted under the concussion rule, so he's not actually going to be banned.
Oh well, fuck me.
But definitely need to be keeping an eye on him for like dementia and stuff later on in his career, though.
Oh,
like,
dude,
later on,
dude,
he gets a head injury every game at this point.
He's got a face like Elephant Man with all the bloody lumps everywhere, and he's like just every game it collects a new smack to the chops.
God, I wish I looked like Elephant Man if it looked like him.
Okay, no, he's a handsome cunt. Apparently, also Ornstein's saying that Elliot Anderson, who isn't obviously our player anymore, he's going to earn a call up to the senior squad.
So he should.
So I don't know if Elliot Anderson has paid Ornstein to say that, but anyway, I might have to put an official apology out there. All right, look, we're running out of time here. Sorry, I've forgotten what the question was that you said before that. But let's just move on anyway because we're running out of time. The last thing is the next game. It is Longyearbyen for Leeds. That's as funny as I can get. An early reunion for Sean Longstaff, who, by all accounts, is not shit for Leeds, and none of the fans seem to like him very much. So this seems to have a bit of a rough start to his Leeds career. What are you expecting from this one?
I think we as Newcastle fans know his limitations. I think Eddie Howe managed to get the best out of him. We know how appallingly bad he was under Steve Bruce because he got no instructions. I don't feel Sean Longstaff is someone who is going to necessarily dictate games on his own terms. I think he needs to be assigned a very specific role, coached to know what he's expected to do, and then he can go out there and do it because he's athletic enough and he can do what he's needing to do. But he's not going to take the game by the scruff of the neck. He's not going to like play things by ear. So outside of a very structured format under Eddie Howe, I'm not surprised he's struggling. But yes, the early indications are the Leeds fans feel we've had their pants down.
You only cost him 15 million for Christ's sake. Jesus Christ.
Even then, I think they feel like he's probably a bit overpriced at that point. But
put like this: there's kids leaving the Liverpool academy and being sold for 25 million quid, and they've never had a professional game of football. That is having your pants down. Not a guy who's got like 300 games in the Premier League or whatever it might be, and he's played in Europe and scored a goal in the Champions League. I'm sorry, lads. Like, he might not be what you expected, but 50 million quid is an absolute steal. I don't care what you say.
In this market as well. The market's completely insane.
Every fucker's worth 60 million. It's like, well, anybody's going to get signed. Where do we start? Well, I don't know, 60 million. Everyone else seems to start at 60 million, and we'll just work our way up from there.
Look, the reality is Leeds are newly promoted. They've got their backs against the wall. They've got a job to do from day one. I don't think they've bought a couple of players in, but they've not exactly gone mad like Sunderland have. They aren't the finished article in terms of the championship promotion that Burnley was. I think they've got their work cut out for them, but they're going to be scrappy. They're going to be a good competition for us at the weekend. I'm just hoping that we can field a side that's going to be competitive enough, and we're going to be able to kind of nick that goal when we can, and then ride out that game. It's the same thing with teams that are going to be there or thereabouts at the bottom of the table. And that's no disrespect to Leeds. It's just a fact of life that, the gap between the Championship and the Premiership is bigger than it's ever been. Just because you've come up from the Championship and you're full of confidence, I think that there's a big job to do when you get into the Premier League nowadays. So the ideal scenario for us is, as we have said since day one under Eddie Howe, is pretty much score an early goal, put them on the offensive to try and get an equaliser, and then pick them off on the counter-attack. And I think we will put a hatful on. If we don't score early, then it's going to be the usual, how the hell do we break them down? And I'm hoping that JJ is going to be one of those players that can kind of unlock those defenses if they sit deep against us. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how we go. Obviously, I think we're going to have to line up with Asula up front. I think Alanga's on the right. Barnes is going to be on the left.
Yeah.
JJ in midfield.
Midfield's probably the question mark, really, isn't it? You're going to have Bruno, obviously, but if
Bruno, JJ, and
Joe
Miley
Linton don't make it, well, it's probably going to be JJ. It's probably going to be coming down to either Miley or Willock. Willock's on the bench, and he's got more experience than Miley. I would imagine Howe would pick him first, but then if he's bombing forward and Ramsey's bombing forward, who the hell's left in the middle? You've got.
I think you've got to play Miley is like almost more of a holding role.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So you're going to need someone else back there because Willock is obviously inclined to go forwards, and so is Ramsey. So yeah, you'd probably have to go with Miley, wouldn't you? So that's our bet.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to say. Bruno, Miley,
I think that's the ideal, like Bruno,
Ramsey.
Miley, and JJ. But Miley for me, and I think we've had this conversation, and this is probably a conversation for another pod, considering we're already over the hour mark, given so much has gone on. I think he needs a settled role. I think he needs a defined role in the team, and I don't think he's got that right now.
He needs games.
And he needs games, but I think he needs games in a defined position so that he can learn that position. And at the moment, he doesn't seem to have that. So I don't think he's learning the game properly. And I'd like to see him as more of a holding defensive midfielder, because I don't think he's got the pace to be a box-to-box player. I don't think he's got the pace to be that attacking midfield option. But he does have the passing and the composure on the ball to be able to play that kind of like holding midfield role. It gives Tonali a break, it gives cover for him. And we just need someone in to kind of give Bruno that cover as well. And I think we're looking pretty solid.
Yeah. All right. Well, so apparently Longy has only came onto the pitch from the bench in the last 2 games. So we'll probably see him coming from the bench again, you'd think, especially if he's getting pelters from the crowd. Also, Carl Darlow, he hasn't actually played a game yet for Leeds this season. So you never know, you might see him as well with his fabulous haircut. Let's wrap this up then. It has been over an hour. What do you think the score is going to be? Do you want to make a prediction?
I am going to say 3-1 to Newcastle. It's the first game this season. I'm picking a win.
Who the hell's scoring 3 goals in? Asula? Or do you think Bruno's going to chip in?
I reckon JJ gets one. I reckon Asula gets one, and I reckon there'll be one of the defenders chip in as well.
Nice. All right, I will go for a 2-0, and I think Bruno, and I might say Barnes. I think Barnes might do his classic cut inside whipping.
Barnes may be a good shot, to be honest. Yeah,
we'll see how it goes. All right, Mark, has been a bit of a quick recap of the very busy week in the world of Newcastle United.
Life of Newcastle United. There's never a dull moment.
Never a dull moment. Probably the busiest one we've had so far, and we haven't even flogged the Swedish trap bag yet. So next week, when the window closes, leading up to it, and then afterwards, it's going to be even more hectic. So we're not out of the woods yet. The next one could be even more hectic than this one. Anyway, let's leave it there. Indeed. Thanks, Mark. Thanks to everyone who's watching and listening. Give us a like and subscribe, and we will see you for the next one. Howay the bloody Toon, man. Cheers.
Cheers.